We don't know how she always finds a way. The mystery of a woman, a savior in a time of need. The bravery of a woman. In your time of need, she does the deed. The magic of a woman. Woman, woman. A warrior is a woman. Woman, woman.
You're welcome to the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, and this is She Wants. It comes to you, of course, to give you that inspiration and motivation that you need as a woman. Every woman has their story, every woman has their dreams. But how do these dreams come true? This is where we give it to you. We tell you their stories and how they have become women of impact in the society. And on the show today, we have a fantastic woman who will be taking us into our world and to inspire and to motivate you. We also have a vox pop with a very interesting topic, taking into the streets and asking people what they feel about this interesting topic. So, anyway, this is She Wrote, and you're watching the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, and I am Adetoke on my name. So we're now going down into the conversation as we bring in our guests. She brought us into our world, and we are going to share short searchlight on our life to inspire and motivate you. She is an African destination wedding planner, and she is an expert when it comes to the event world in Nigeria. She is Mimi Adam. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me, Adetoke.
Yes.
It's an honor to be here.
Thank you for just allowing us come into your space today. However, let me start with this first question. How did you land into the event world? Why not banking? Why not communication? Why not being a doctor? What happened? Tell us a story.
Well, I wasn't certain that I was going to be an event planner. I didn't even know that there was a craft that was called event or wedding planning. I was actually helping a friend that's about 10 years ago to plan her wedding, and then they gave me the tagline wedding planner. So I researched about it, I went on trainings, and 10 years later, here we are.
Tell us about that experience. When your friend told you that you're going to be that event planner, what are those things she saw that she felt, okay, you're going to be the event planner?
Well, she just saw that I was willing and available to assist her in the running around. So things that had to do with the wedding planning and even the marriage generally, like helping them source for things that they need in the house, then reaching out to vendors, following up with vendors. So I was just helping. So I will help her with weekly to-do lists. I will share with her, and then I'll check in on her at the end of the week. And then after that, they started delegating tasks to me, to be in charge of the Ashrebi ladies, to be in charge of the caterer. And on the events day, the contact person was Muni, because it's Muni that had been planning all along.
Yes. So obviously that it was all about Muni here and there.
Absolutely.
But at that point in time, what actually, aside that, what triggered and you said that I'm going to make this a business for me?
Okay, so after that event, I felt I did rubbish. But everybody kept saying thank you, because I was overwhelmed. I was everywhere, at the hotel, at the church, at the venue. I was everywhere with Ashwebi. So I was doing so many things at once, and I felt I didn't do it excellently well. But I got feedback that people had fun, they had a good time, and I'm like, what exactly did I do? And so some people said, have you heard about anything called wedding planning or event planning? I think you should be a wedding planner. By the way, at the time I was working in a telecommunication company, so it's not like I was looking for money. Right, and so after that, I just did some research. I saw some people that had been doing that in Nigeria. One of the people that I really admire most, Funke Pokno Britain. I'm like, she's been making money out of this. Oh, really? So I can monetize this skill. So voila, and here we are.
Was there any kind of basic training aside the fact that you could do all these things?
Oh, absolutely, yes. So I trained at Diadem Event Academy, or Diamond Event. I can't remember the name. She's no more in the business. It's been a while, right? Then after that, I went for internship with BCB events in Lagos, Nigeria, then KFA Rentals, and I attended different trainings that have to do with events. So whenever I hear anything event training, you always find me there. Whether it is paid, whether it is voluntary, whether it's as an intern, I will always be there, because I just wanted to own that craft, right? I knew that there was a business side to it. I knew that there was a way it could be done better, rather than just waking up to say, oh, I'm a wedding planner. So Actually, I've been trained even up till this year. I've still been to Ghana earlier this year just to on my craft to do better. So it keeps getting better.
As much as you said, okay, started with a friend, having to plan our own wedding. Growing up, did you ever have this flair for party planning?
Actually, no.
So how, people want to know that, did she just wake up and say she wants to become a planner, even with her friends planning?
No,
So,
I didn't just wake
so,
up.
so growing up, how was it like for you that kind of marked and created this woman that you are?
Okay, so growing up, I'm a first child. So by virtue of that, you already know that hospitality has to be a thing for us. I mean, if you're a typical Nigerian or African lady, you already know that you have to be hospitable by fire by force, right? So yes, growing up, just being hospitable. Then also, I'm a Christian by virtue of religion. So in church with welfare department, I always remember people's birthday and I will always reach out to them, maybe be in charge of their cake, be in charge of taking care of people. Then I remember seemingly tiny details and so people always entrusted with information. I'll just connect the dots together. So yes, that was how it was growing up to university and all of that. But I didn't picture myself in the party space because again, I like to say I'm an introverted extrovert. So I like being in my space, but if it's work, I'm outside. So growing up as an introverted extrovert kind of shaped the line of being in the events planning business. But it wasn't just automatic that, I'm going to be an event planner.
Because we have so many people that just jump into businesses because it's a thing. Can we now say that being having a knowledge of economics, can we now say it must have molded you and your business to an extent?
I want to believe that because not necessarily the knowledge of economics, the fact that I went to the best university in Nigeria, actually with your key part, University of Ibadan.
Okay.
So I think one of the things that it did for me was to help build relationship, right? Not necessarily the course economics. Honestly, if you ask me what they taught us, I don't remember. But I mean, the relationships that I built then and just having that exposure and experience helped with confidence, and then I could put that in my business. And most of the clients that we started with knew me from school, right? So it was the trust from school that, we know this babe from UI. I mean, we can entrust that with our events, and then referrals start coming after that. I hope that answers it.
Yeah, you did. Well, and let me now go to destination weddings.
Okay.
With the era of destination weddings in Nigeria, what can you say actually brings our Nigerian weddings into the spotlight? What are those things that actually makes us stand out?
Well, I like to argue that Nigerian weddings are the best.
Okay.
Well, not because it's the only type of wedding I've experienced, but because we love to party. We love culture. I mean, there are other weddings that we take cues from, like the Lebanese, Ghanaians, and the likes, people in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. But Nigerians, we enjoy parties, anything societal parties, because it's our way of unwinding. So bringing the experience of destination events into Nigeria is like creating a unique experience for people. People never forget how you make them feel. They might forget what you say or how you said it, but if you attend a party and you have a nice ambience, the food tastes great, the ushers warmly welcome you, the music is great, everything is nice, everything is aesthetically pleasing. You remember it better than an event that there's no memory of it. So that's just the idea of bringing destination event experiences from outside the country into our own kind of events.
So what are those challenges you face with destination weddings, especially in Nigeria, especially when clients let me say they have this wedding in their head, but when they put it down in paper, it becomes more than the destination wedding. So what are those challenges you face and how you've been able to overcome them? Because we know that life has its own challenges as well.
So one of the major challenges that is common with planning a destination wedding in Nigeria or having the destination wedding experience in Nigeria is expectations versus reality. Like you said, they find inspirations from Pinterest, social media, other wedding blogs, and then they want it executed. They don't care how much was spent. They assume that, the money is just going to come like that. So when you're trying to face reality with them, it then becomes a challenge. So one of the ways we've been able to mitigate that or overcome that is by educating them and making them understand that this person did their wedding in Paris. This is how they spend money there. Or the weather condition in Paris might not be suitable for what we have in Ibadan. Right?
Yeah.
So, this day, an example is you want to do an outdoor joining and you want to use those little Chinese parasols. While it's cute and nice, our own culture does not, and our environment doesn't really support that. You're going to be keeping elderly people waiting in the sun. They will not appreciate it. It doesn't
That's the
align.
end thing now.
How do you convince an African mother that she
Yeah.
can that she stay on that sun for 2
I saw a
hours?
picture and I saw these women, they were tired.
I can imagine.
So, Nigerians can't be stubborn when we want to have our own thing. So, for people who have this notion of having destination weddings, what are the things they need to look out for to ensure that they don't end up disturbing the elderly and even the little ones?
So like I said, educating them is very important and setting expectations right. If they don't have the right expectations, there might be issues. But if they know that, okay, this is what I want, but this is how we can interpret it, then it will help. So also educating, apart from the couple having conversations with their parents, we usually interact with parents as well so that they understand that, mommy, daddy, I understand that when you did your wedding 30 years ago, 20 years ago, this was not the end thing. However, this is what we can do. And then we'll reach a compromise. So for example, instead of putting them under the sun, we could suggest that maybe it is done later in the evening if they're comfortable with it, like an evening event, or maybe very early in the morning before the sun is out, and then the service is done under 1 hour, because our parents are used to joining sneakers ceremony to be long. Yes. So, or alternatively, we could tell the couple to take their pictures, do their content, which is what they're really after anyway, and then now do it the style that the parents want, just to reach a compromise and just find a balance. So it's about educating them and making them understand, because if they don't understand, they will fight it out, they will argue and argue if they cannot visualize it.
So how have you been able to settle, how will I say it, scores within parties when your client has already given you the amount of guests that he or she should be expecting and goes beyond board?
It happens all the time. Welcome
All
to
the time.
Nigeria. Most of the time. So because there are so many moving parts, for especially weddings, there are so many moving parts, right? The couple wants a certain number of guests because they want it intimate with their friends and people that they are comfortable with. The parents will remember the people that they bought their ashwebi, some years ago, who they celebrated with as well. And then they are wondering, no, you cannot 150K for your wedding. It's not possible. So what do? We have conversations with the couple and then with the parents. Another thing that we do is that he who pays the piper dictates the tune. So if you want a lavish and a big wedding, right, whoever is willing and available to pay for it, no problem. Maybe the couple can decide that, okay, we're going to focus on our outfits, our media, content, and all of that. Parents will say, okay, we'll sort out the venue, we'll sort out the food, we'll sort out the decor. So if you are not able, you should be able to put your money where your mouth is, right? Yeah. So some parents will be like, yes, I want a big society wedding and I'll pay for it. While some will be like, I'm a retiree, you guys can do you, right? So you then reach a compromise as per number of guests. So maybe it will not be 150 guests, maybe 300 guests, but it won't be as much as 1,000. Yeah.
So having to win the event planner of the year 2024, take us to that time. Tell us how you felt.
Oh, well, I mean, it was a great feeling. It was a long time coming anyway, because we've also been recognized like different by different bodies. But that particular one, I wasn't even expecting it, because, like I said, it was a long time coming. So over the years, like the expectations were there. So by the time the expectation for winning that award was no longer there, that's when it came. I'm like, oh, thank you. It's so beautiful to be seen and recognized. But I mean, it was also a big deal in the sense that it helped us know that, okay, yes, people are actually watching and we are doing excellently well. At the same time, we always tell ourselves from time to time that more events build team, you guys are doing great. So even if people clap for us, no wala. If they don't, no problem. But it was actually a good one.
So what actually led you to say, okay, you want to mentor people, you want to train people when it comes to event planning? What actually led to that part?
The fact that I didn't have, at the time, many people willing to share their wealth of knowledge and experience. At the time, it felt like people were just hoarding information. Nobody wanted to know what they know. And I'm like, who is going to guide me? How am I going to do whatever I want to do? I mean, I had a couple of people that I reached out to. We eventually opened up their spaces to me. For example, BCB events in Lagos, Nigeria, KFA rentals. But they were just a few. Imagine reaching out to 100 planners and just people that say yes, and then it's over a long period of time. So I said, nobody should actually go through this. Apart from that, it's important that people get to do events the right way, because anybody can wake up and say they're event planner, especially if you're a lady in Nigeria or Africa, because you plan your sister's wedding, your cousin's birthday, your mommy's your mommy's birthday or retirement party. So you just tag yourself an event planner. You should learn how to do it the right way, which is one of the reasons why I also summed up all of that into the training manual that we use, right? You need to start off on the right foot so that you do the events the right way. and you'll not be disgracing us outside.
Why did you have to say
Yes,
that?
now they have to do well.
Now, the job is demanding.
Yes,
Like you said earlier, the first job, having to plan your friends' wedding. So how do you stay motivated? How do you tackle being having burnouts? How do you stay focused?
That's a very good question. So one of the things that I do is that I ensure that I am productive in my productive times. What do I mean? There are some people that are morning people, afternoon, evening. I'm most productive in the mornings, right? So anything that will require me to tax my brain, use my energy, I do it in the morning. Any other activity I can put in for later. So I do like a scale of preference, but economics comes into play for that, right? So list of activities to be done. Another thing that I do is to delegate to my team members. We're a team of 10. I can't say that I'll do everything by myself, otherwise they'll be burn out, right? Then another thing that I do is that I just do things that make me happy. Like I sing, I listen to music, and then maybe during an event, maybe a vendor is getting under my skin, or the client is not appreciating what we're doing, or something is not just going right, I drink water. Because so that I will not say what I'm not supposed to say. Because by the time I drink water, I mean, before I give a reaction, I'll probably calm down a bit. And then maybe I'll run to a friend or a colleague, and then I just remotivate or re-energize myself.
I like that aspect of taking water,
Very
because
important.
I think water has this power. When you drink it, just whatever nerve you have, you just say, okay, I'm cool, I'm okay.
Great. Yes.
So now, with people, we've seen people say, founders have said, working with people can stress you. Nigerians can stress you. So how have you been able to cope working with Nigerians that are very stubborn? Founders have always, leaders have always been saying that problem. So how have you, because you make it sound really easy. You have a team. So tell us, how have you been able to, bring everybody together with their stubbornness?
Well, we are all stubborn in one way or another, right? So one of the things that helps is by sharing the vision with the entire team, making them buy the idea and let them know that it is our thing. It is not just for money. It's not just for the client. The idea is that we want the client to have a memorable celebration. We want them to think about the event, and then their heart should bless us. And they should call us for their event again. So how have we been able to manage it? Being tax-oriented and people-oriented, while we need to achieve whatever we want to achieve, achieve the desired results. At the same time, also being empathetic, understanding that we're working with human beings that also have stuff that they're dealing with, right? They could be having a bad day, they'll be going through stuff. So we empathize with them. So a typical example, let's say a vendor is supposed to come for a vendor's meeting or deliver, and then the person, for whatever reason, maybe it's not in their custom to be late, right? And then they show up late. It's not just say, where have you been? It is, what happened? Oh, I got stuck in traffic. My car had a fault. I had to take my child to the hospital. And okay, you empathize. So sorry about that. Hope you've been able to fix it. Then coming out focus on the job. So when people know that you have their interests at heart, they put their best foot forward. It's not easy actually, because sometimes also you can train or have people in your team, and then they feel like, oh, it's like this thing is lucrative. Let me go and start my own. It's quite sad. Like one of the things that we're dealing with in this generation as per staffing. People don't want to grow, they just want to blow, and it doesn't happen like that. If you blow fast, they want to blow. Exactly. So that's just the way we've just been managing it. I mean, staffing is such a big deal in the Nigeria of today, but
we'll be taking you to the Vox Pop, and it's a very interesting question. If you could fix one problem in Nigeria, what would it be, and how would you fix it? Big Red.
Woman, a warrior is a woman.
It's power. That is the main obstacle we are having now in this country. It's not stable, and we are paying for it. We are tired. We need somebody that can intervene so that we have peace concerning power.
I think one of our major problems in Nigeria is the leadership aspect. If I'm willing to change something, I work on my leadership skills. That's one of the things I will work on. Because if you have a good leader, you'll be able to carry your followers. Because we have the resources, we have the everything. But I think one of the things we are lacking is the leadership aspect.
What I see in the problem we are facing in Nigeria is that there's no love. No love. Then if there's love, that love through the love we will get a lot of things that's going to be useful for us in Nigeria that make us to move forward. So it is that love that loves. And if there's love, those who are on top, we know we do the right thing for those who are falling. So I think to me, the love that we mix is one that's causing all this problem we have in Nigeria.
Welcome back from that box pop. You could see the interesting comments of some people, and I'm going to try to our guest, Muni Ajani, today. If you could fix one problem in the world instantly, what would it be, and how would you do it?
And the world is big, but in Nigeria, it will be power.
Okay.
Yes. It's very important because if power is fixed, a lot of things will ease out. Cost of production will reduce. I mean, life will be easier for people, right? They'll be able to do their business in a more conducive environment. They'll be able to produce things faster and better. They'll be more productive, and invariably will help in the lifestyle of people generally. So power is something that I would love to fix.
There's one thing we learned from Munia Ajani today is that if you want to blow, hey, you must grow. So we heard what Munia Ajani has said, power. So what are you going to fix if you had the chance to fix anything in Nigeria? That's the question you should ask yourself today. And thank you for being with us, because our guest was Muni Ajani. She's an African destination wedding and events planning expert. There's one thing we took from her today. If you want to grow in whatever you do, you need to learn. You need to grow. And if you want to grow, you got to grow. And that's what we learned on the show today. You know that you able to motivate you and to inspire you in all that you do. Remember that you're not alone, and if you have dreams, you can achieve it. Remain yourself, and it's okay on my way. And to the crew, the producer, we say thank you, and to everyone who's been part of the crew, we say welcome. And for you watching, thank you. You have a wonderful day. Bye.
We don't know how she always finds a way, the mystery of a woman, a savior in a time of need, the bravery of a woman. In your time of need, she does the deed, the magic of a woman. Woman, woman, A warrior is a woman, woman, woman.